All right, advanced sports med distance learning, part one. Here we go. Hope y'all are doing well and not getting overwhelmed by your first day of stuff. This is the second one of these I've done, so hopefully maybe I've learned a couple things. I don't know. Anyway, this first unit that we're going to do is upper body pathology. You guys know kind of how we go through the notes. It's going to be a little different this time. You're going to have the actual notes that you can follow along with while you watch this. So it's up to you there. And just a warning, I'm at home recording this, so there might be dogs or kids or who knows what. So we're going to talk about upper body pathology, and the first stuff we're going to do is just some review of anatomy and some new anatomy. Okay, tones, myotones, and there's one dog right there. Hey. So the first thing we're gonna do is talk about so we got to review the skeleton, right? So I think I forget which group did the skeletal review, but just some basic stuff, right? We kind of know some of this. And then we'll talk about the joints. So a couple of new joints that I want you to know is, number one is the acromioclavicular joint, also known as the AC joint. That's where like shoulder separations happens. Then you have the glenohumeral joint, GH joint. That's like your true shoulder joint. So the acromioclavicular joint is your scapula and clavicle, valley, clavicle, or is it? Yeah. And then you have the glenohumeral joint, which consists of your humerus and your scapula. All right. And then you have your elbow joint, no specific name there, your wrist joint, which again doesn't necessarily have its like a true name of its own. And then you have joints of the manus. So this is going to be a little bit newer here. So joints of the manus, so we're going to start proximal and go distal. So the first joint that you have in your manus is between your carpals and metacarpals, and that's called your carpometacarpal joint. Let's see here. I will do it in this color. So let's see. So carpo, metacarpal, known as your CMC joint. And that's carpals and metacarpals. And then you have, moving distal from there, you then have the metacarpals and your phalanges. And that joint is called your metacarpophalangeal joint. Phalangeal joint, and that is maybe I should do that one in a different color just to not confuse it. Oh, how you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing good at home or wherever you're at watching this. Oh man, I'm struggling over here, huh? All right, here we go. Is it not letting me do that? Okay, well, we're just gonna let it be that color. So metacarpals, meta and phalanges. And then you have two different phalangeal joints. You have the proximal interphalangeal joint and the distal interphalangeal joint. So let's just do it like this. So you have interphalangeal, and you have a distal and you have a proximal. PIP, that one's called, and this is the DIP. So those are the joints of the manus. So let's just go through this. Here, let's see. I have this pulled up. Let's look at this guy in his hand. All right, so the carpal metacarpal joint. So if you were to multi-select this here, so you have the carpals, right? How many carpals do we have? 8. And then the metacarpal. So that's your carpal metacarpal CMC joint, carpal metacarpal joints, right? That's what you got right there. And then if we were to look at the next one, the metacarpal phalangeal joint. So you have your metacarpals and then your first group of phalanges. So that's the MCP joint, metacarpal phalangeal joints. And then you have the PIP, proximal interphalangeal joints. So that would be these phalanges here and these. So that's the PIP, and then the DIP, distal interphalangeal joints, are the last ones. Right, so you could kind of see them there. Right, so there you got the PIP or the DIPs, distal interphalangeal joints. You got the PIPs, the proximal interphalangeal joints. You have the MCPs, the metacarpal phalangeal joints, and then the CMCs, the carpal metacarpal joints. All right. So just quick little new info there for some joints. Muscles, we had went through those before. Okay, now on to something new again, right? So now we have neurological. Okay, so this is everything that has to do with nerves for the upper extremity. Okay, so you have this complex, and this complex is called your brachial plexus. So your brachial plexus are made up of nerves that innervate the muscles and skin of the upper extremity. So this is the name, brachial plexus is the name of the complex that does that. And here's a picture of it. So if you could imagine, right, so this is like where your vertebrae are. And these nerves come out through here, and then they come down to your arm and give you sensation and the ability to move. If it wasn't for nerves, you wouldn't be able to move, right? So that's kind of how that goes. All right, now let's go on. So there's ways to test the neurological system of the upper extremity, the brachial plexus. So dermatomes. So dermatomes are a sensation. I don't know if you guys have ever seen somebody get hurt or get hit, and like, hey, can you feel this? Can you feel this? Or no, I can't feel this. So they're testing the dermatomes of that area. And so the brachial plexus, so these are the names of the nerves here, C5, C6, C7, C8, T1. And these are the areas in which that they're tested. So C5, deltoid lateral brachium area, C6, lateral antebrachium, pollex, and index finger. And then C7 is just your middle finger. And it's the same as on the posterior. And then C8 is ring finger and pinky finger, a little bit of antebrachium. And then T1 is medial elbow and some of the brachium. Don't worry about T2. All right, so this is the dermatomes of the brachial plexus, C5, C6, C7, C8, T1. And that's how you test the sensation. And then on to, so you have dermatomes, and then you have myotomes, which myo is muscle, and so that's movement. No, you love my handwriting, right? Man, I can't tell you guys how much I miss actually have you guys in class. This is no comparison, but we'll make the best of it. So neurological, the myotomes. So we did dermatomes, sensation. Now we're going to do myotomes, which is movement. All right, and the way we go about that is Each nerve again has its own movement that you test. It's like you're testing the strength. Okay, so once again, there's rules to testing strength, right? Support the joint, and then don't go then one joint away. All right. So C5 is shoulder abduction, C6 is elbow flexion, wrist flexion, C7 is elbow extension, wrist extension, C8 is finger flexion, and then T1 is finger abduction. And actually, yeah, so that's the myotomes. Okay, so we got dermatomes, myotomes, and now on to blood supply real quick. So I want you guys need to know the blood supply, right? And how it comes out of the body. So this is, right, the aorta is coming out there, and then it starts branching out, and this is where we start to know it. So I'm going up here, this is the carotid. I don't know. Carotid. I think that's more how you spell it. Terrible speller here. Sorry. I guess I could just look it up on the side, but that's all right. The ones you really need to know, okay? So number one is the subclavian. So subclavian means that it's deep to your clavicle, okay? Two, axillary. Axillary is just a medical term for your armpit. Three, brachial, right? That's easy. That's the region of the brachium. So 4, you have your radial and your ulnar. And then 5 is your palmar arch. All right. So that's the different breakdown of your blood supply for the upper extremity. I hope, if you have any questions, always email me, tell me if I'm going too fast or this isn't good, or you just, be honest. We're not going to start with actual pathology. We're actually going to do this for a couple days, just to kind of get this hammered home. So just to review real quick, upper extremity anatomy, okay? AC joint, your acromioclavicular joint made up of your scapula and clavicle. Then you have your glenohumeral joint made up of your humerus and your scapula. That's your main shoulder joint. And then you have the joints of the manus, right? The carpometacarpal joint, the CMC joint, carpals and metacarpals. The MCP joint, MCP. Metacarpal phalangeal joints, and then you have your joints of the phalanges, the interphalangeal joints, the proximal interphalangeal joint, and the distal interphalangeal joint, PIP and DIP. All right. So I'm going to also post a video doing these dermatomes and myotomes, testing the brachial plexus, so you could see that as well. All right. Hope first time was okay. Hope you all are doing well. Miss you all. Talk to you soon.